What If Season 2 has released in its entirety, so let's talk about it episodically and what I thought about it overall. What's up guys, welcome to Superwise, I'm John, and let's just dive into episode 1 of season 2. It was pretty mid. I didn't hate it, I didn't think it was bad, I just thought it was uninteresting. I get what they were going for with Nebula being like Blade Runner vibe, I like it in concept, I really do, but the mystery connecting it all is just not that good. It's not that interesting. I didn't really find myself invested. Howard the Duck is of course the highlight of this episode. Seth Green is so good in this role. I need more MCU projects with this man. I would love a solo project of this man. Hell, I would have taken a full episode of him and not what we got this episode. It was great to see Jude Law return, and it reminded me about how wasted he was in Captain Marvel, so it was nice to see him return in this capacity. Overall, this was a weak premiere, not at all as good as Captain Carter's. Not a great way to start out the season. Episode 2 was a massive step up. I mean, this is what should have been the first episode, but then again, if every episode is like this, yeah, have the weaker one be first, get that one out of the way, and then we get to the others. This is what you should be doing with the What If brand. I mean, I really like this alternate history that we see here. This new Avengers roster, we see Bill Foster in action, which is great. Captain America: The First Avenger is still my favorite MCU movie, and Bucky has been one of my favorite MCU characters since I saw that film in 2011, so seeing him here, seeing Peggy and Anthony get taken aback and see the Winter Soldier and be like, I think that's Bucky, I've heard the rumors. I thought that was very cool, and I like what snapped him out of it in addition to the name drop of Steve Rogers was Peter as a child. Like, that's his line, and he's not gonna cross it. I thought that was handled nicely. I'm a big Kurt Russell fan and I loved him as Ego, so seeing him here, back again, that's great. So overall, good fun episode. This is the What If that I want. Let's move on to episode 3.
I'm talking about.
That's right, the return of the goat I've been waiting for, Justin Hammer. It was so great to see him back in this episode. And I like his line of thinking. It's very in character to where he wants to make a comeback, but people don't like him, so his plan was to change the public perception, take the Hulk blood, and be a hero. So yeah, I've been waiting for this, it's great to see him back, and what this tells me is that when the time comes, if Armor Wars ever does happen, he'll be back, and I can't wait for that. Happy's been around since 2008, so it was nice to see him get his own episode. He turns into a Hulk Hogan, literally. Overall, it was an enjoyable, die-hard inspired episode. I quite like episode 4. Like episode 3, it's pretty straightforward. You have Tony stuck on Sakaar, he's gotta fight his way out. Great to see Valkyrie. Of course, Jeff Goldblum is peak as the Grandmaster. Not much more to say, to be honest. I really liked the episode, and I thought it was fun to see Tony in a situation like this. Episode 5 is definitely one of the strongest episodes in this season. This really was a good continuation from that first episode from the first season. I'm a sucker for the Steve-Peggy romance. I think it's been so well done, and it's nicely done here. I like how this episode is basically the Winter Soldier, but in an alternate universe. Instead of Bucky, it is Steve and the Hydra Stomper. Peggy's gotta be the one to stop him and wake him up. We have some nice moments between the two of them. We hear it's been a long time from Endgame, so that was great. We haven't seen Melina since 2021, so it's pretty cool to see her back for this. Then that episode's ending with Peggy ending up in 1602 was like, oh, wow, okay, so that's where we're going with this. Bonus points for Watcher. I love when he opened with, I normally don't do sequels. And by the end, where he's like, what the hell is this? That got a good chuckle out of me. Episode 6 introduces us to a wholly new original character for the MCU, Kohori. When I first heard about this, I was very curious on how this will go, and well, Kohori is like cooler and more interesting than almost every MCU heroine introduced in phases 4 and 5. Her powers are cool, she looks cool, her Skyworld lore is cool. I'm just really impressed and surprised by this character. I respect the hell out of Marvel Studios for subtitling this entire episode. Came across as like really authentic and genuine. I find it awesome that this character is gonna be elevated and pretty soon gonna be appearing in like the mainstream comics and other forms of media. So anyway, that final battle with all the Skyworld people, that was badass, and when Kohori takes the throne and she just crushes it, man, bro. Social media was really hyping her up, and I was like, is she really worth it? Yeah, the answer is yeah. Then the episode ends with Strange Supreme. We hear the music, and he's like, I've been looking for you for a long time. Wonder what that's about. But yeah, this is a really solid episode, and like everyone else, I'm waiting to see Kohori in live action. Episode 7 was certainly different. It was actually a bit jarring in a sense, just cause I didn't expect fully what I was gonna get in this episode, like seeing Hela in different garment. It was like, it took a while to get used to. But by the end of the episode, the vision comes together with Wenwu and Hela fighting in battle against Odin. The animators went hard with that. I love this reinvention of the 10 rings. I love seeing them in action. Then that final shot with Wenwu and Hela on their way to liberate Gamora before she gets taken from Thanos, that was a pretty cool way to end it. Overall, I enjoyed it for what it was, but I don't think it was anything that great. It was fine, with some cool moments. As I'm recording, we have one episode left, but right now, this is currently my favorite episode of the season. I think the 1602 idea is fantastic and applied here. It's really fun. Mostly every MCU actor returned to voice their animated counterparts, so it was really packed in that sense. It was cool to see the 1602 attire, how these heroes operated back then. The final fight was cool. Thor with the All-Father sword, that was tight. Hulk versus Freak, that was inevitable. I love in this episode how it hits home that Steve and Peggy, and almost like every universe, they have a love for each other. Definitely made for each other, and I found it pretty cool how this was Infinity War Cap. He accidentally nicked the time stone and it took him to this time. I thought it was a really well done moment where Peggy's like, we can never really be happy, we can never win. It's sad. And then Steve is like, I'm sure we do win in some other universe, and they do. And I thought it was bittersweet. The episode ends with Strange Supreme, and we're gonna see what this finale has in store. But yeah, I really liked episode 8. So that finale was, well, it happened, and I woke up to this episode getting a bunch of hate. It's not a bad episode, but it's also not a good episode. It was such a weird way to end the season. I didn't walk out fulfilled. I think a lot of people are on the mark with this one, with this episode feeling out of place. It happened all of a sudden just because. I didn't feel like that we were building up to this. It all kind of just happened, and while I was watching it, I mean, I enjoyed it for the most part, but it's enjoyable sludge. It's a lot of member berries and fan service thrown together, but it wasn't emotionally fulfilling. It just felt kind of rushed, because instead of getting an episode or a few moments with Strange Supreme, being conflicted, seeing him be like, is this the right way to go? Should I do this to my friends? It just sort of happens. I mean, yeah, it was cool to see Captain Carter and Kohori team up together, but by the end, it got really silly when Captain Carter put on Hela's headpiece. That just looked so dumb. I was like, It also creates a lot of logic issues, like how can Captain Carter pick up all the Infinity Stones like they're Skittles, but when Star-Lord does it with one Power Stone, he's half Celestial at the time, and he turns to almost rubble. How does that make sense? It felt like they did this finale because they thought the fans would love it and eat it up, but we're not at that stage anymore. Marvel Studios has done a lot of wrong things, and they have to start thinking about what they're doing before they do it. So again, it wasn't a bad episode. I had fun with it while it lasted, but after watching it and just sitting there thinking about it, it just didn't leave me fulfilled, and it ties into my overall thoughts about this season, which is, it was a fun, solid season, but it is nowhere near as good as Season 1. Season 1 had a stronger lineup of episodes. It actually felt like it was going somewhere. And the season finale, when it ended, a lot of arcs had been wrapped up, and I felt fulfilled. This season, it did not have that. Now, I'm not going to retroactively say that I don't like Season 2 because of this finale. No, I enjoyed a lot of these episodes on their own individually. They were fun. I will go back and watch them and have fun with them. But as a whole, man, it just was not as good as Season 1. Where was Spider-Man, by the way? Where was my guy? Where was he at? Where has Chris Pratt been during this entire 2-season run? I can't tell you. So those are my thoughts on Season 2 of What If. I actually love the episodic daily format of dropping these episodes. Overall, a fun season, but not as well put together as Season 1. And a large part of that is unfortunately due to this finale. Still very much excited for season 3 though. I'd love for it to be better than this season, go back to season 1 in terms of have these cool individual episodes and then tie it all together with a fulfilling arc, but we're gonna see. So tell me in the comments down below, what did you think of What If Season 2? Do you agree with me? Did you have fun with it, but do you think it's weaker than Season 1? Or do you actually think it's better than Season 1? I'm very interested to hear your thoughts. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. That'll be all for me. Remember my catchphrase, guys. Stay super wise.